Hello guys, welcome back to Play on Footy channel. Today we are going to be looking at and recapping the Melbourne and the Tigers game that happened last night at the MCG. Obviously today is ANZAC Day as I'm recording this, so I would like to thank all the men and women that have fought for the country. Obviously it's a really important day, lest we forget. I'll start off by saying that the game last night that I witnessed was rather scrappy. It was a game where there were so many chances for the Tigers, especially in the first quarter, to lock it in their forward half, or at least convert in their forward half. They had, I think, at one stage 11 inside 50s, and they just could not convert, which was really obviously alarming. Admittedly, they are missing Lynch, who's their main key man, but they've got Lafau, who stood up. He kicked a goal, didn't do much else for the game, unfortunately. Dustin Martin in the first quarter did miss a pretty easy set shot, in my opinion. But then, yeah, he did kick, I think, a couple of goals as well to sort of peel it back. But yeah, for the Tigers, Maurice Rioli got 89 AFL fantasy, Dow got 88, and Daniel Rioli got 87 AFL fantasy. And for Melbourne, the usual suspects, Gawn 134, Rivers 107, he really stood out, and Langdon 103. With a couple of other mentions, Woden, he got 69 AFL fantasy, and Lafau got 47, which probably came underdone what a lot of people were expecting from him. And Graham, 41, Jack Graham, he's another player that normally gets really high in AFL fantasy, or relatively high, but he only pulled 41. So what I liked about the game was at times Melbourne just capitalised when Richmond didn't. So that's what I liked about the game. Daniel Turner, the Melbourne player, he's a 194 centimetre key defender normally, kicked 3 goals, so he was a bit of a standout for me as well. You just wouldn't have picked him to kick 3 goals the other night, so that's another thing I liked. Gawn's ruck work, against Nankervis. Nankervis wasn't a slouch by any means last night. Gawn got about 26 hit-outs to Nankervis's 15s. But the other thing as well was there was a moment in I think it was the second quarter, just before half-time, the ball hit the leg of a boundary umpire. Actually, no, I think it was in the third quarter, actually. And that basically kept the ball in play, and then the ball was kicked kicked inside 50, where it remained, to a Melbourne player who converted. And I think that one was pretty instrumental, because it built on, I think it was a 3-goal lead to a 4-goal lead ultimately, because after half time Melbourne kicked 4 goals to Richmond's 1, and then another 4 goals again in the final term to Melbourne's 1. So it was a game that the Melbourne just applied the pressure consistently, and Richmond just didn't really hold on, which was a bit of a shame to see. But I can see why you wouldn't want to be on the Tiger train right now. Melbourne, scrappy game, but there's definitely room for improvement there, and they'll admit that. But for Tigers, they came out, I was expecting it to be a bit of a closer game, which it was initially, but then they just couldn't maintain the pressure. On to some other AFL predictions now. So I've got the Bombers and Pies at the MCG. This is the next game that's on today, as well as the Giants and the Lions. I'm going for the Bombers versus the Pies. I think it's going to be a real tight and hotly contested game. I don't think Bombers are going to roll over. It's going to be a tight game, nonetheless. I think Pies have a bit of momentum behind them, but so do the Bombers. So I think it's going to be really a highly anticipated game, and I'm going to go the Bombers with that one. And for the next game, Giants versus Lions, this is at Canberra Stadium, Manuka. I'm going for the Giants in this one. Even though Toby Green's out, I just think that the Giants have a better game plan. It's up to them whether they execute it or not. And obviously Lions are coming out to prove a point and trying to build on something which, has been a little bit difficult for them in the last couple of weeks. The next game is on Friday. This is at Adelaide Oval, Port Adelaide versus Saints. I'm going for Port Power. Reason being is that I just feel like they've got a bit of a point to prove after their loss against Collingwood, and being in front of their home crowd. Never tear us apart with blaring, no doubt. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go Port Power for that one. And the next game as well is at Blundstone. This one's North Melbourne versus the Crows. I'm going to go Crows purely on the basis of the fact that Nix is under an immense amount of pressure. Obviously, so is Clarko. His his sort of area is a little bit more sort of lenient, I believe. But yeah, Nix is under a lot of pressure, and yeah, I'd hate to think what happens if he doesn't win this game. Even though it's at Blundstone, he needs his Crows to get up. So I'm going to go the Crows for this one. The next game is the Cats versus Carlton. This one's at the MCG, so this is not at GMHBA Stadium, which if it was, I probably would be more in favour of the Cats. But yes, I'm going to go Carlton. So reason being there is that I just feel like they have a better midfield, obviously better forward line than the Cats as well. And I just think that their defensive pressure, the Cats, will be under immense duress since Tom Stewart's out. So yeah, I'm definitely going to go Carlton there. Lock that in. The next game's Dockers versus Bullies at Optus. Similar thing, you know, Dockers lost to Eagles. That was pretty, you know, no one expected that, so it'd be pretty embarrassing for them. I'm going to go the Dockers for this one against the Bullies. Again, I don't know what the teams will be like for the Bullies. They haven't been released yet as I'm recording this video. But yeah, knowing Bevo, there might be some sort of shock to the selection. So, but I'm still going to go Dockers. I think the Darcy and Jackson combination will come good in this game. I've got a feeling, so I'm going to go Dockers. Suns versus Eagles. This one's in the Gold Coast. This is on Sunday. I'm going to go Eagles. Whether or not Harley Reid plays, I think there's a point to prove, especially from Simo and the coaching group from the Eagles. They want to prove that they can win without Harley. There's been so much media hype about this kid. Don't get me wrong, I think he's amazing, what he's been able to string together in 6 games or whatever. So yeah, I definitely understand where they're coming from, but if they choose not to play him, which I sense they could be, not wanting to play him, just rest him up a little bit, they'll definitely be coming to this game with a point to prove, to say, hey, we don't need this kid to win. So I'm going to go Eagles with this one. The next game, the final game, this one's at the MCG, Hawks versus Sydney on Sunday. I'm going to go Sydney. Yeah, I mean, the Hawks, they won pretty comfortably against North Melbourne last week, but I just feel that Sydney, who traditionally don't play that well at the MCG, mind you, but I'm still going to go Sydney just because, you know, Hawks are still a work in progress in my opinion, and Sydney are the safer bet, so I'm going to put my money on Sydney. What do you guys reckon? Comment down below, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.